section 90. What are we doing today? Let's minimize that. Okay, good. Let's see. Shit's interfering with my reception. Right. What a morning. Oh, put these guys in. Oi. people showing up to the lab today. All right, that's good. Oh, my butt. I need a comfortable chair. My lab, my office, which is my lab. Anyway, hey, it is now 10 o'clock, right? Yes, 10 o'clock. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Look, I'm wearing green, but trust me, it was just a dumb luck. I had no idea. I was driving, but I always wear green. Anyway, happy St. Patrick's Day. Today's Wednesday, March 17th, 2021. Like I said, it's 10 o'clock. And you guys are biology 1161, section 90. And hey, I have your My Courses page up right here to tell you what we're going to be doing. Last time you took your practical, right? Your second practical. So today we start material for your third and final practical. So from here on out, everything is going to be on your final for the rest of the semester. So what do you got to know? What do you got to know? What are we going to do, et cetera, et cetera? Well, I guess I can show you a couple things. So let's go back and look at this is like, remember the course policy sheet? Let's give you that like little timeline here. Here's today, week 10. We're going to do the brain, the eye, and ear. Next week, spring break. No lab next week. Week after that, that's the week of Good Friday. There's no lab on Friday, so I'm not going to hold you guys to lab on Wednesday. So you're going to have 2 weeks off. But when you do come back, 2 weeks to 3 weeks from today, we're starting the circulatory system. And the week after that, digestive respiratory, then urogenital, then your practical, which your practical, your Wednesday group, you're going to be April 28th. Okay. And that is, I'm pretty sure April 28th. That's after the drop date, isn't it? I'm pretty sure. I could double check, but like if you're in here today, you're in it for a long haul. There's not going to be an opportunity to bring up your grade between now and the drop date. I'm pretty sure. So congratulations if you're in here today. That means that you're passing, or you should be passing. Okay. So what are we going to do today? Well, look, here's your My Courses page, see section 90, all your stuff over here. You have material for practical 3, see that link? And then there's images for practical 3. You need to be familiar with both of these. If you click on material for practical 3, click, and you see this. It brings you to this page where you got 1, 2, 3 files. These are 3 handouts. You can open them up, save them, download them, print them out, whatever you want, or just open them. This is what we're going to do today. This is what we're going to do in 3 weeks, and then what we're going to do the weeks after that. So these are the 3 things. This is all the information. Basically, it's 3 checklists of stuff that you got to know. So what do we study? Well, you go right here where it says images for practical 3. Everything you need to study and everything I'm going to test you on is right there. So you click on that, and I guess I could have turned this into a PowerPoint, but I didn't for some reason. I don't know why. Well, I'm going to tell you why in a minute, because I'm going to go over it and I kind of show you the images and the checklist. We kind of toggle back and forth. I think it just works better that way. Anyway, everything for your final is on just this one page right here. So all these images, we're going to study all these images, which are pictures of models. And these are the same models that we used to use in the lab. And so this students would study, the models in lab, with their checklist in person, like this. And honestly, most students, when they're in there studying, you know what they were doing to study them? Taking pictures of them. Taking pictures of them, then they'd go home and then they would, try to label them and stuff. So I basically, this is kind of like a blessing in disguise almost. It's I got all the pictures made for you already, and they're all labeled already. And then plus on top of that, I'm going to point out stuff for you, and you're going to have it recorded. So shouldn't be any excuse. So you guys should, make an A on the next practical. You got everything right there. So let's take a look at it. So what am I going to do from here until the final for these Zooms? I'm just going to do like a split screen. Watch this. I can split screen this like this. Move this. Maybe I'll move this one over here, and then I'm going to move this one over here. I think that's just how I'm going to like it. Maybe make this one a little bit smaller. I don't think it. This one a little bit bigger. Go down like this. I'll make this go. Yeah, about like that. See that? So here on the right, this is your checklist of things you need to know. Now, I've already had somebody ask me, do we got to know the stuff that you got crossed out? No. If it's crossed out, then it's crossed out for a reason. And the reason why I crossed it out is we couldn't see it on the images very well for one reason or another. So just omit. The only thing you need to know, the stuff that's not crossed out on your checklist, and I'll point out everything for you, okay? And so this is today, brain, ear, eye. This is everything we're doing this week, and it's all on this page. And it's not very much. Go through it, point it out. I don't think it's going to take an hour to do it. And so you'll have everything you need to know. You practice looking at these images. Make sure you label everything that you're supposed to know, and you'll be good. How about that? Okay. So here we go. The first part, I have the regions of the human brain. All right. And I begin with the cerebrum. Or remember, that's the cerebrum, same thing as the cerebral hemispheres. And you can see it in a few different images. Of course, that's the sagittal section of the head. All of this material right here, this kind of folded stuff that points out cerebrum, but it's all this, and you can see all this kind of coiled stuff everywhere. That's all cerebrum. You can see some models as labels, some of them it's not, but you should identify it all up. Okay, that's the cerebrum. Next is the corpus callosum. That's where the cerebral hemispheres connect to each other. It's this big white part in the center right there. See that? That's the corpus callosum there. Can't see it here. Can't see it here, but you can see it here. That white part, that's the corpus callosum. See, corpus callosum. And the next is the diencephalon. Now, the diencephalon is like the center part of the brainstem that's surrounded by the cerebrum. And so it's like all underneath the corpus callosum. So all this is diencephalon, but it's we really point out parts of it. And I guess the only part that have you learn for this online version of our lab is just the thalamus. And the thalamus is this kind of, see the thalamus right there? All of the big white swollen part right there, that's the thalamus, which is part of the diencephalon. And it's right here too, okay? I think that's the only place you can see it. Oh, and then right here, I guess. Right there. That's it for that. I scratched out choroid plexus, so you can't see it. And then the pineal gland, you can, okay. It's not, it's right there, but they don't label. Let me show it to you where they pointed out to you. Okay, right there. Golly. Okay, yeah, I can see a little yellow thing. I guess that's it right there. I got two screens. I got a screen here and I got a screen here. This screen here is bigger for me. Yeah, I think that's it. Well, see the yellow thing right there? I think that's supposed to be the pineal. That's the thing that produces melatonin. I was trying to see it. I think it's the tip of a little pink thing right there. Anyway, that's your pineal gland. The pituitary gland, that's a little bit easier to see. It's right there. That's that structure that's situated in the the cella turcica of the sphenoid bone. Remember that? So you can see it. The pituitary gland here. Do they include it here? I don't think it. I think it's normally situated right there, but I think it's been removed. And then I get or they point to something. That's it's right here. My little screen right here that I'm looking at straight ahead. It's much smaller. So if I look over here, that's because I'm trying to see it bigger. I've got my cheaters. I should put on my cheaters. I was wearing them earlier. Let me put them back on. So I got clip-on cheaters. I got glasses for my glasses. Hang on. There, see? And if I need to look far away, I do that. Anyway, but this is good for me because it is a built-in filter makes it easier to look at the computer screen. Anyway, so where am I? Pituitary gland. Okay, midbrain. We'll scratch that. Pons. That's part of the brain stem. It's this kind of swollen area here. It doesn't look too good right there. Right, all of this is pons right here. Let's see. Okay, this is a good shot. See pons. That big bulge right there. That's the pons. So pons right there. Can't see it there. All of this big white area. That's pons. And it's kind of weird looking right there, but that's the pons right there. Pons right there. That's it. Then the cerebellum. Let's start at the top here. The cerebellum is this kind of big, kind of colors, that kind of greenish, brownish kind of area right there. And here's green. That's all cerebellum. Right here and here, cerebellum. And then this is all cerebellum. Here it is again. Okay. And then finally, the medulla oblongata. That's the last part of the brain stem, and it's right here. This is all spinal cord right here, and then a little swollen part right there. Because right here, right about this level right here, that's where the foramen magnum would be. So inside the foramen magnum, that's the brain. So that's the medulla oblongata right there, and right here. And all this right here that you can see is medulla oblongata. And then this, and this, see, medulla oblongata. And that's it. Okay. So that's like general regions of the brain. And then next I have surface anatomy of the cerebral hemisphere. So it's like looking detail of the, just the cerebrum, like this. And let's see, I scratched out this longitudinal fissure. You can see it, but it's not labeled anywhere, I don't think. Or you can't see it. No, you can't see it. The central sulcus, there's a groove. Let me see this groove right here. They kind of point down, but it's kind of hard to see what they're looking at, but it's this little groove right here. That's the central sulcus there. You can only see it from, the lateral view, the side right there. So this is the only, if I was going to ask you, I'd have to use this picture right here because it's this groove right there, central sulcus. All right. Then the lateral sulcus, that's this groove right here. It's got that blood vessel tucked in it. Again, you can only see it from the lateral view. Yeah, I'd have to show you this. Yeah, the lateral sulcus, central sulcus, and that's it. Can't see the transverse fissure, can't see that. Okay, and then some of the lobes of the cerebrum, the frontal lobe. Here's the central sulcus, everything front of the frontal lobe. I mean, everything that's in front or anterior to the central sulcus is the frontal lobe. So all this is frontal lobe. Do they label it somewhere? And this is all frontal lobe. I don't know if they label it. Well, here they kind of color code it. Maybe that's why it's colored like that. Yeah. And here forward, yeah. But you can't tell why it's like that. But from here forward would be frontal lobe. Then the parietal lobe is from everything from here back, but it doesn't tell you where to stop. Let me show you like this. All right. Parietal. Oh, here, yeah, frontal lobe, parietal lobe. And I scratched it out, but I guess because they didn't label it. The parietal occipital sulcus, that's this sulcus right here that separates the parietal lobe from the occipital lobe. Okay, anyway, frontal lobe, parietal lobe, occipital lobe. And then the temporal lobe, that's what this is here and here. They got to label it somewhere. This, okay, right here, temporal lobe, all this. It's everything underneath the lateral fissure. See lateral fissure right there, and then this part right here. It's temporal lobe. You can't see it from that view. There. See why I had all the pictures on one page so I can go up and down and across, and it just works easier that way. So there, that's surface anatomy of the cerebral hemispheres minus a couple of things. Then I have the cranial nerves. Let's see. The olfactory, optic, I can see, I guess you can see most of them. There's got to be one place to see most of these. So, okay, right here. Right here. The where do I go? Okay. Olfactory. That must be where I'm looking. Just all right here. Here they technically this is, you think, oh, this is the olfactory nerve here and here, and that's fair enough. You can say that, but technically this is called an olfactory tract, and where it's swollen, it's called the olfactory bulb, and technically the olfactory nerves descend down from the olfactory bulb. But we can just call this the olfactory nerve. This, you know, remember they're numbered 1 through 12. And this is like, you start with the olfactory. So that's number 1. And number 2 right here, this is the next one. Optic, olfactory, optic, optically motor, and so on and so forth. But you can see them in kind of in order. But this is the next one right there, number 2. Oculomotor, you come down, this would be like the 3rd one right here. You can barely see little nerves sticking out right there. Then the trochlear. Okay, here's the ocular motor, and then the trochlears should be, you know, number 4, right? See, they're in order 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 is after that. That's trigeminal right there, and then I guess you can see it on the other side too. And then trochlear, trigeminal. You can see the abducens, number 6. All right, I guess. Right here and here. Then number 7 is the facial. You can see that one right here and right there, I guess. And then the vestibulocochlear, sometimes called the auditory. It is number 8, but it's you can't see it on here, so I scratched that out. You can't see the glossopharyngeal. You can't see the vagus. Scratch, or they're not labeled. Because right there would be the vagus, and the accessory and the spinal accessory would be deeper down here, so you can't see. So the only cranial nerves you need to know are these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So the first 7 of 12. And then, like I said, they occur in order. So if you memorize them in order, you can see all where they all are, olfactory, optic, ocular, motor, trochlear, trigeminal. Where did we stop? Abducens and facial. Okay. And then the last ones you just can't see. So those are the cranial nerves. And then that's it for the brain. Then we go to eye anatomy. And then there's an eye model. I've been kind of seeing it down here. And there's a few. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 eye model photos. Okay. And so first thing I have listed, pupil, and you can't see it. Well, you can see it, your pupil, but they don't label it. I don't know, the hole in your eye is, the opening, that's the pupil, but they don't label it. So I scratched it out. So there's your pupil. So I won't ask you that if it's not labeled. The iris is the colored portion of your eye. See, this kind of has blue with some little yellow in it. That's the iris. See, iris. And then the, plica semilunaris and the lacrimal caruncle, those are on the eyelid. There's no eyelid picture, so just scratch that out. The choroid, or I'm sorry, the corona, let me try it again. Cornea, the cornea of the eye. Let's see. What are they pointing at? You can hardly tell what they're pointing at, but you can kind of tell that this is a clear part, but it's kind of cut away, and it's kind of hard to see from the front. So you look at it from the side. Oh, here's a good picture of it. That clear anterior extension of your eye right there, that's the cornea. That's where you put your contact lenses, sit on top of your cornea. And then here's another good picture of it right there, cut like this. Kind of looks like a little contact lens sitting right there on the front of the eye. There's that. Then the choroid, like this morning in my lecture, I called it the grape. And so it's the, see this purplish, what color is that? Kind of a purple, little dark color right there. That's the choroid. It's a tissue layer, and there's more choroid right there. It's the vascular tuning where you get blood vessels and pigment and so forth. That's the choroid. So it's all choroid right there. And it's in there. It's a real thin layer right there, but you can't see it. They don't label it there. Okay, where am I? Right here. Choroid. Then the lens. Here's a close-up of the lens right there by itself. The lens right there. Lens right there. Can't see the lens there. Can't see it there. You can kind of see a little piece of it right there. Number 13, that'd be lens. And that's it. And then the ciliary muscle and the suspensory ligaments, those kind of go together. That's what changes the shape of the lens. That's what I was just talking about that this morning. You can see a little bit of ciliary muscle right there, a little bit right there. Here's a close-up of it. So this is ciliary muscle here, and then you can see suspensory ligaments attached to the lens, like right there. And I guess that's what these would be right here. These little blue things kind of radiating down. They're supposed to be like little fibers attached to the lens. And then that's the muscle, the ciliary muscle. And then the retina, that's, the sensory tunic. So all this kind of, all this is retina. What is this posterior cavity, but the color is that kind of beige color. They're going to point it out somewhere. Let me see. Somewhere they got to point it out. Or do they? Maybe they don't. Just assume they did. So, well, here, retina. Yeah, so here's the choroid. It's a tissue layer, Did I show you sclera? Yeah, sclera. I must have skipped over that. I don't remember saying that. That's the white of your eye. So that's the white of your eye. There's 3 tissue layers: the sclera, the choroid, then the retina. Or in lecture, I call it the fibrous tunic, the vascular tunic, and the sensory tunic. But nobody says that other than an anatomy teacher. It's sclera, choroid, and retina. So there you go. And then the anterior chamber with aqueous humor, or Yeah, anterior chamber with aqueous humor, posterior chamber with vitreous humor. That's the space, the hollow space. Let me see. Let me show you like this. Okay, see this hollow space right there? That's the posterior chamber, the posterior cavity. Same thing. And then right here, this space right there is the anterior chamber, anterior cavity, whatever you want to say. But there's fluid on either side of these. So there's aqueous humor in here, vitreous humor in here. And in these models, they actually show you, you know, this kind of sphere that kind of looks like a bubble in there. And that's supposed to represent the vitreous humor. You can't really see aqueous humor, just imagine that it's a fluid filling the space right here, or space in here. That's anterior chamber filled with aqueous humor. Okay. Then the optic nerve and optic disc. Okay. Well, here's the optic nerve. You see the optic nerve and you see the blood vessels inside of it, and then it comes out right here. And then, so if you look, here's the optic nerve again. It's blood vessels, optic nerve again. There's got to be a place to see it. I guess it's just right here. This is kind of a close up. And it's called the optic disc. It's just like a little area where you don't have any photoreceptor cells. And they call it the blind spots. The optic disc and the blind spot is the same thing, because that's where all these blood vessels are coming in, and there are no photoreceptor cells. So that's the optic disc. Yeah, see in parentheses, blind spot. And then the macula lutea, which means like yellow spot here. It's another thing. You look in the back of the eye, it's just kind of over to the side of the optic disc right here. See that bracket? So that's the macula lutea. We got mostly cones. Then there's in the center of it, called the fovea centralis, which means the central pit, kind of like indented a little bit. That's where you got pure cones. So you got rods and cones everywhere, but just pure cones in the fovea centralis and mostly cones in the macula lutea. And that's it for the like general eye anatomy. And then I have extrinsic eye muscles. There's 6 per eye. Apparently you can't see them all. Let me see. See these red things attached to the outside of the eye? Those are the extrinsic eye muscles. There's 4 rectus muscles and 2 oblique muscles. The 4 rectus are superior rectus, inferior rectus, lateral rectus, medial rectus, and then an oblique muscle on the top and oblique muscle on the bottom. So superior and inferior oblique. And so this, you're looking, this is a medial view. So this is like the side of somebody's head looking in, and their nose would be over here in the background. So did I just say that backwards? I sure did. Because they're labeling this medial rectus. So the nose would be on this side. Medial rectus, inferior rectus, superior rectus, and then this is like the superior oblique tendon. Anyway, there's a superior oblique tendon. This is a better view, I think. You can kind of appreciate the position here. So the nose would be here. So the side of the head would be here. So medial rectus. The lateral rectus is missing, so you can't see it right there. But inferior rectus, superior rectus, you got superior rectus, inferior rectus, and that's pretty much it. So I guess yeah, see, you can't see, it's just not shown. And the inferior oblique's not shown, so I scratched them out. And then the lacrimal apparatus, that's all associated with the eyelids. I don't have any pictures of the eyelids. So scratch, you don't have to know any of that. Not for lab anyway. Lecture, we talk about it. And that's it. Then the ear anatomy. This is going to take a lot less than an hour. Ear anatomy. So we'll go to the ear, and that's right here. This is the exact same model I have in lab, and then we looked at the same stuff. Although I guess we can't see every single thing. But they just, that we can see, just they didn't label it. But auricle, that's this thing attached to the side of your head is called the auricle. And there's parts of the auricle. I'll tell you about that in lecture. Don't worry about that. Just auricle. Or the external ear. Sometimes it's just called that. Then there's the external auditory canal. That's the space right in here, right there. And then the tympanic membrane, that's your eardrum. That's right here. So it's sound waves come in here and they collide with this membrane. That's the tympanic membrane. That's your eardrum. Okay. You can see it right here too. Well, oh, I see what's happening. That's my label. I thought that was pointing it, but if you click on it, it'll show it by itself. That's a little bit better. So this is on the model. That's the eardrum, the tympanic membrane. Let me get rid of that so I can get back to here. Okay. Then the auditory ossicles, those are the small ear bones. Auditory for hearing. Ossicle means little bones. And there's three. There's a malleus, an incus, and a stapes. Not stapes. Don't say stapes. It's stapes or stapes. Stapes. I don't know how to say stapes. The malleus is the one that's attached to the back of the eardrum. See, here's the eardrum. From here to here is the malleus. And the incus is attached to it. And then the stapes looks like stapes means stirrup. And doesn't that look like a little stirrup right there? And that's the stirrup. That's connected to the inner ear right there. And so, let's see. They point out malleus, but you can't even tell what they're showing you. I mean, this is the best place to look at it, I'm thinking. Malleus, incus, stapes. Okay. Then the eustachian tube or the pharyngotympanic tube. That's I think this is the only place you can see it. Yeah, right here. The space back here behind the eardrum is the middle ear, okay? And then the middle ear is drains to your throat. So this tube that connects the middle ear to your throat is the eustachian tube or the pharyngotympanic tube. Eustachian is actually an eponym. That's somebody's name. Pharyngotympanic means between the throat and the tympanic cavity. Tympanic for tympanic cavity. The middle ear is also known as the tympanic cavity. Okay, that should be something I should add to your list, but of course they don't label it anywhere. So anyway, scratch that. And then finally, the vestibulocochlear nerve. Remember cranial nerve number 8? Now, cranial nerve number 8 splits into two. It splits into a vestibular nerve and a cochlear nerve. That's why it gets its name, vestibulocochlear. And they show you, but they only label the cochlear branch. And look right here. You know, this is the cochlear. This is cochlear nerve. That's a cochlear branch of the vestibulocochlear nerve, or cranial nerve number 8. And it goes to the cochlea. That's this part of the ear. And this little, they don't show you the part that connects to the vestibule, which is right here. So that would be the vestibular branch. This thing right here is actually the facial nerve, but they just cut it off. That facial nerve enters this part of the temporal bone, and it comes out the vestibule, the stylomastoid foramen. Anyway, we'll just skip that for right now. So right here, that's the cochlear branch of the vestibulocochlear nerve. And I think that's the only place to see it. Yeah, that's it. And then last is the osseous labyrinth. Now the osseous labyrinth, that's what this thing is. You see this, and here's a model of it all by itself. Osseous labyrinth means, osseous means bony, labyrinth means maze, because it kind of doesn't look like a little maze or something, like a corn maze or something with all these little coils and whatever. You really don't have a thing like this in your head. You don't. But what you have is hollow spaces within the petrous portion of the temporal bone that look like this. Like if you poured plaster in those hollow spaces and used it like a mold and popped out a little, model, and this is what it looked like. So this is the shape of the spaces. And so to study those spaces and those little passages, we study this model, and we call this the osseous labyrinth, the bony maze. And there's three main parts to it. First, the semicircular canals. That's these three loops, 1, 2, 3. You know, those are associated with dynamic equilibrium, balance. Then the vestibule, that's this kind of center part right here where they all kind of connect. That's the center part of the vestibule there. This kind of swollen bulge right here, that's the vestibule. Remember the vestibular nerve or the vestibular branch, the vestibular cochlea, that's where it connects right there. And then the cochlea, where cochlea means snail. Doesn't it look like a snail shell, this part? Actually, of all of your inner ear, the osseous labyrinth is also called the inner ear. So you can call this a model of the inner ear. This is the part for hearing. All this other stuff over here, semicircular canals and the vestibule, that's all for equilibrium. So this part's equilibrium, this part right here for hearing. So the cochlea is just for hearing, okay? And then there's two openings to it. Now they point out some extra stuff on here that I don't have on my checklist. They said just don't worry about that. But there's the oval window and a round window. They don't show you the round window, but they show you, but they don't label it, I guess. There's the oval window. They point it out there, and they show you here, but the let me see. Let me click on this. No, I thought they were labeling it, but they're not. And then, yeah, see the stapes right there? The base of the stapes is oval shape, and it rests on the oval window. And here, that's where the stapes would sits on it covers the oval window. The round window, that you don't see it. It's I guess in this model been removed. Anyway, you ain't got to worry about that. Okay, well that's it for this week. And again, next week is spring break, and then the week after that is Good Friday week, and so I'm just canceling lab all that week. And so I will see you guys in 1, 2, 3 weeks, right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, and we'll do the circulatory system. And that'll take a little bit longer. Some labs are shorter than others, and then, kind of stretching it out. But yeah, I'm gonna point out all the parts of the heart, the blood vessels, etc. But they're all your other models. If you want to study ahead, have at it. Everything you need to know is on this page on my courses. See, and I'm gonna use these pictures, point out all the blood vessels, and then digestive, respiratory, and then way at the bottom is urogenital stuff. Okay, that's it. You guys have any questions about anything? All 10 of you? You good? Okay, well, you guys have a happy rest of your St. Patrick's Day, and then a good spring break. Happy Easter. Okay, we'll see you guys next time. 3 weeks. Bye.